And the maddest thing is, like, these two groups of people are being in exactly the same way, right? And need exactly the same thing, which is like they're losing their assets, they're being taxed when the billionaires are not being taxed, inequality is increasing massively, public services are collapsing, their kids can't afford homes, and like their response is on both sides to hate the exact group of people experiencing the exact same thing as them that they need to ally with. Older people, they want what's best in many cases for their kids and their grandkids, right? But they just don't understand.
That's what I mean, yeah.
The reality of the situation for younger people, right? And like I was talking to Jordan Stevenson recently about like the reform marches and the Tommy Robinson marches, and I was saying it's important not to like go and point fingers and say like these guys are a bunch of racists, you know what I mean? Which is, I've seen a lot of people sort of saying this kind of stuff, and I've been pushing back against it. And what I said to him was, look, okay, you know, we work in this area of like talking about politics, understanding politics, explaining politics to people. Most people are just, they're busy, right? They're living their lives. They're not politics experts. They recognize, you know, problems in the societies around them and they worry about them. They want them to get fixed. And it's the job of people like us to explain to them what is happening.
But then again, that's the same thing. It's perceived fairness. So from their perspective, because of what they're being told, this is why I have the same opinion as you. I do see there is definite racism and there's definite far-right people. And I think mainly the influencers, mainly the politicians, they're deeply far right. But I think a lot of people are being duped because they're being told there's an unfairness being committed against them, which is that people, if you come over, so you go and work a hard life, you go and do your job and you're getting shit, and then you're being told endlessly, relentlessly from every angle of the media that people are coming over on boats and getting luxury hotels, getting a phone and getting good wages. So if that was true, it would be unfair. And so that's where that thing of fairness, I understand their emotions. It's just, unfortunately, that isn't the reality. They're not being treated like that. They're not like having this luxury life. But that's what they do. I think the media finds where there's tensions of fairness or like unfairness, perceived unfairness, and then they keep talking on that. So I think that's how they attack it.
I think what especially the right-wing media does really, 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 really well when it tries to undermine, especially people on the left, is usage of wedge issues. So like a wedge issue, very, very simple, very, very simply. A wedge issue is any issue which divides your opponent from the audience. So, you know, this is just me and you here, but like, say there's an audience here and I want to like take you out. I'm going to think, what is the issue upon which your emotions and your feelings
will be at odds.
At odds with the audience. And I would just come in and say, the thing I want to talk about is this one thing upon which you disagree with the audience. And here's a great example. It's like I went on Piers Morgan, right, earlier this year. And I don't watch Piers Morgan. You probably won't be surprised to hear that. But he was running late and I had to sit in the green room for an hour, right? And so I had to watch the interviews that were going before me for an hour. So I was in the, and you could see they run like a really standard format, which is they want to get the most sort of loud, dare I say, sort of like hysterical sounding, like left-wing pundit, and they want to get them to say something outrageous. So they had someone on who was like a gender rights activist, and they wanted to get this gender rights activist to say that she didn't think there should be a female category in the Olympics. And they just kept trying to get her to say it. And then she was like, yeah, it shouldn't be. No female, you know, and that's it.
And it's at odds with...
Job done. And I think, you know, I see a tendency on the left sometimes to point fingers at people who might be voting for reform or at older people and say, you are the problem. You are the problem. You know what I mean? And I think as soon as the left or the centre, you know what I mean? The best example of this was when Hillary Clinton said, what did she call?
Basket of deplorables?
The deplorables. Yeah. The best example is as soon as if you can get your political opponent to say
look
something
down on you and
makes it clear that they dislike the public.
And
I see that, and this is my big worry with the growth of like reform or the alt-right, the far-right, whatever you want to call them in every country, is that the left and the centre respond with like dislike and hatred. And they say, we hate you, and the problem you have is, which I recognise very much, there's a class element to this, right? Which is a lot of the like talking heads of the left, of the centre, not all of them, but a lot of them, they look and they sound middle class. And a lot of especially the most passionate supporters of the far right, they look and they sound the working class.
Sort of. The GB News guys know, but I know what you mean.
Right? Yeah,
like Tommy
mixed,
Robinson.
right?
Yeah.
And if you can if the right can get the left and the centre to do this like finger wagging, pointing thing at the right, then the left and the centre are going to be fucked, I think.
Yeah. I noticed this, like, this is a bad tendency I seem to notice on the left. I think mostly they will recognise there is a difference between the people, so say like the United Kingdom rally.
Don't you think Unite the Kingdom sounds like a WWF pay-per-view event?
United Kingdom, yeah. Tommy Robinson's
like
going in against Ash Sarkar.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. Yeah, it does. I notice like there is that feeling to like look. I would say most leftists will be able to say most people in that crowd are normal people, and we understand the reason they believe the things they believe is because of various scenarios. They're not evil in their heart, blah blah blah. But I do sometimes one that like I think that really like. I don't know how to word this specifically, but sometimes people will look at these lot, like the far right lot, and they won't give them the same grace that they might give, say, gang members. And I do sometimes notice that on the left, where I would say it's quite easy for, I don't know, a lot of us to look at someone who is in a gang or something and be like, the reason they're in a gang is because of various scenarios. They're not evil in their heart. They're just a person that is fallen into this kind of lifestyle, blah, 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 blah. But then you'll look at maybe the far right rally and there will be comments like, these are disgusting gammons, these are like gross, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sort of thinking, you know, we understand the reasons why people do bad. The same for like Al-Qaeda. Like, I can understand how that movement formed. I can say it's evil, awful, but I can understand how it formed, how it took power and how it controls people's lives and forces people to do awful stuff. But some people don't extend. I don't know if this is widely held, but I do notice it sometimes. They don't extend that same generosity and compassion to the far right. Because, again, it's always the same thing. These people are falling into these movements because of a lack of something in their life, usually material. Or their culture feels like it's been eroded because, I don't know, their fucking high street has 2 shops left and they're a vape shop and a betting shop.
Yeah.
And it's like, you understand, you've got to remember, these are people that are not perhaps deeply into politics or deeply well read or deeply understand these movements. They just feel fucked. They feel like their life sucks. And some guy's coming along giving them some smooth talk. And you don't, I guess, judge the person who gets swindled for a car for a smooth talking salesman. You don't judge them. You're like, the salesman was a dickhead. But I do notice sometimes people can like condemn the individuals. And I get why, and I get I can see why, but like I think you're not going to win, like kind of what you're saying. You're not really going to win if you come across like that. You need to be understanding.
Look, there's always been like the BNP in this country, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, the BNP used to get, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000 votes, right? And most of those people who used to vote for the BNP would probably be like racist.
Ardent racist,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and there has always been racism in this country, just like there has always been racism. In every country, racism exists, right? Reform are probably going to win the next election. That's it, right? As simple as that. And, you know, 8 million people will vote for them, you know what I mean, in the next election, right? And if your way of dealing with that is like, well, suddenly the country just became way, way, way more racist, but that's like very disempowering, right? You know what I mean? You have to understand why that's happening, why people are going that way, why people are voting for these people. I mean, basically, it's a question of like, what do you want for your country, right? And I personally am worried that if they win, lots of things will happen. Even if we put aside what it will do for race relations in this country, they will cut tax on billionaires. That will increase inequality. It will make living standards fall. You know, I try and stick on my single issue thing like that. That's what is going to happen. If you don't want that to happen, you need to ask yourself, how do I stop it? And I see what's happening now with this, like it becoming, and it's difficult for me, right? Because I don't target my YouTube at people on the left or at reform voters, you know what I mean? And I try my best to speak to everyone. And like, the truth is that people on both sides, same things are happening, right? Which is their living standards are falling and they're worried and they're scared and they have a right to be worried and scared because things are getting worse. And it's increasingly difficult for me to say anything that will not piss off one side.
Yeah.
And when I see that, I really worry that what is going to happen here is the way things have gone in the US, right? Where it is unbelievably divisive. everybody has their hat on, everybody's on one side or the other, and they just fucking hate each other. And once you get to that kind of situation, number one, like, it's going to make this country just fucking unbearable to live in, right? Because everyone's just going to fucking hate each other all of the time, right? And the maddest thing is, like, these two groups of people are being fucked in exactly the same way, right? And need exactly the same thing, which is like they're losing their assets, they're being fucking taxed when the fucking billionaires are not being taxed. Inequality is increasing massively. Public services are collapsing. Their kids can't afford homes. And like, their response is, on both sides, to fucking hate the exact group of people experiencing the exact same thing as them that they need to ally with in order to fix things. And, you know, here's me, you know, and I know I get sort of painted as a leftist or whatever. It's my fucking country too, right? And it really reminds me a lot of when I was during the Brexit debates. And I hated it because I'm sort of like, I guess you could call me like a fucking class transitional or whatever. I grew up very poor, but then I went to fucking LSE and, you know, I went to Oxford and, you know, now I worked in the city. So then I'm whatever, like I know all these fancy people. And I hated the way that a lot of like posher people spoke about the working class during the Brexit debate. I don't know if you remember at one point, somebody said, we shouldn't allow the uneducated to have the same voting rights.
Fucking hell.
As the educated. And I was just like, oh my God, what is... So and then it's the same with the reform stuff. Like, you know, I feel, you know, a lot of these guys, people's lives are being fucked. You know what I mean? People's lives are being fucked and they don't know why and they're scared. And when I said that, I'm not talking about just the right. I'm talking about everyone. Everyone's lives are being fucked. And if it ends up in this situation where everybody's got their fucking hat on and everybody fucking hates each other and all we fucking do is point fingers at each other, well, I'll tell you what will happen. The far right will win. That is what will happen. 100%. 100%. The far right will win because that works perfectly for them because it means the country becomes more surrounded in division, and division feeds the far right really, 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 really well. And taxes will get cut on billionaires because, you know, the only power that the poor have is that there's a lot of them. I know it's cliche, but fucking divide and rule is a thing. We are moving into a situation where the whole wealth of this country will be owned by 1% of the people. That shouldn't be possible, right? And 80-90% of the people will be fucked and desperately impoverished. That is only ever possible if the people are divided.